Hey guys, welcome to another boss ranking. Last time we ranked the bosses from Hollow Knight Silksong from easiest to hardest in Act 1, and today we're gonna do the same, but for Act 2. Keep in mind though that I'm gonna change things a little bit because I ranked a lot of mini bosses in Act 1, but this time there's no mini bosses here, only bosses where the name shows up on the screen. So I'm sorry Giant Flea, but this is the part in the video that we say goodbye. And let's get started because we have 17 bosses to rank. At number 17, and the easiest boss not just in Act 2, but in the entire Hollow Knight series, we have Garmond And Zaza. And the reason why it's the easiest boss ever, it's because when they start an attack, you have time to take your wife to dinner, to take her to the movies, and after that you still have time to take her in a trip around the world, and when you come back to the game, they will still be halfway on their first attack. I beat this boss first try without taking any damage, and I bet many people will too, because this fight is that easy. At number 16, I have Voltvyrm. This is a boss that I bet many people will never find without YouTube help, because the jump to get to this area is something it will never cross your mind, and let me tell you, the jump is also pretty annoying to do, same as the awful run back. Luckily, I only died once or twice, because this boss has like 2 attacks, so it takes just a few seconds to memorize the fight. Just don't be greedy like me, or you will suffer an embarrassing death, join with one of the worst runbacks in the game. At number 15, we have Father of the Flame. Same as Voltvyrm, this boss is very easy to miss, and even though the boss is not that great, the area is pretty awesome. As for the difficulty, this will heavily depend on how good you are at Pogo, because this boss is basically a Pogo simulator until he reaches phase 2, where he spams fireballs non-stop, but that is actually his easier phase. Since I'm not very good at Pogo, I still die like 3 or 4 times, but I can see many people beat this boss first try. Just don't forget to take the tool where you receive 1 damage only from fire attacks. At number 14, I decided to go with the Disgraced chef Lugoli, and I want to start by saying that I died like 5 times to this boss, but I didn't mind that much, because I couldn't stop laughing at her funny looking visual design and that goddamn booty attack. I don't know if all my deaths came from that giant booty, but I sure was distracted by it, because I sure love a lady with a big booty. Now please don't tell my wife I said this, or I will sleep on the couch tonight. In number 13, we have our rematch against one of the Conchflies, and let me tell you, I sure did like this fight more than the previous version. Even though I died way less times in this boss than the previous ones, I felt like it was more challenging since it's a very fast-paced fight and she was flying minions all over the arena. The 3 minions that go sideways aren't too bad, but when she shoots the one that bounces everywhere, things can go wrong extremely fast. It's time for our number 12 on this list, and we have the Broodmother. I've seen many complaints about this boss online, and I can see why, because this boss can be quite a challenge, since she also summons some minions around the arena that can give you double damage, and she throws some stuff at you that can glue you to the floor, as she jumps at you around the arena to erase your entire health bar. Luckily for me, I decided to go Pogo on her, and I only died 2 or 3 times, so I really can't complain much. Not a very fun boss though. At number 11, I decided to go with second Sentinel, which will surely be a controversial pick, but honestly I cannot believe it myself when I beat this boss on my second try. What happened is that on my first attempt she was so aggressive that I died in seconds, and I thought this would be a boss where I would get stuck for ages. So on my second try I tried to play super aggressively, and somehow that worked because most of her attacks just flew over my head. The reason why I put her over so many other bosses where I died many more times is because I know I was crazy lucky, and this boss seems actually hard. At number 10, we have another controversial pick, Groal The Great. Now before you kill me in the comments, let me explain why I put him here, because I am not counting the runback or the gauntlet, it's just the boss itself, and on its own, Groal is actually not that hard. He tries to eat you, he jumps into the water, he throws 2 green balls and shoots 3 laser balls from his mouth. And yes, he also summons some minions, but it doesn't happen often, and it's mostly the same 2 that you don't even have to kill, so it's not a massive problem. If you're having problems with this boss, I suggest that you go into the water, because here you will avoid most of his attacks and can hit him from time to time, making him a very doable boss. It's time for number 9, and I chose the Cogwork Dancers. And honestly, the first thing I want to talk about this boss difficulty is how they made a boss with pretty much 1 attack pose some kind of a challenge. You see the dancers spend their entire fight telling you where they will attack, and you're still gonna die a few times. And this happens because in phase 2 the fight speeds up a lot, and in third phase things get even worse because they take turns attacking, making it a bigger challenge. Phase 4 though is just to make you cry. At number 8, I decided to go with the Unravelled, which also seems to be getting some hate online, but call me crazy, I actually like him. His moveset consists of a charge attack that is a bit annoying, and he also throws some enemies at you, and in second phase things are similar but a little bit harder. The real reason though why most people will probably not like this boss, it's because of the constant summon of minions to join the fight that, you guessed it, do double damage and can end this fight pretty fast. I probably die around 10 to 15 times in this boss, but call me crazy, I had lots of fun doing it. It's time for our number 7 and I went with Forebrother, Signis and Gron. After 3 bosses in a row where minions were part of the fight, guess what? Here are some more for you. The fight starts with one of the brothers alone, but it doesn't take him long to bring some flying friends along the way to make us hate this fight. And if that wasn't enough, when you damage him enough, here comes the big brother to save the day, and yes, it's another flying enemy. And guess what? It gets worse when you beat one of them, because lava will start falling from the sky. Lovely! I probably died 15 times to this boss, which is 10 times more than I actually wish. It's time for our number 6, and we have a very special boss because, ladies and gentlemen, I give you the final boss of Hollow Knight Silksong, Grandmother Silk. Now, as a few bosses in this list, this is another boss that many people seem to be disappointed because it's too easy for a final boss, with many stating that either beat her on their first or second attempt. As for my opinion though, I'm quite happy with the final boss, and as for the difficulty, I understand why people would find her easy, since it's very easy to hit her and recover health fast. But I still got my ass kicked around 10 times, because she throws needles at you, she tries to punch you to oblivion, and in second phase she brings spikes and giant rocks into the mix, and what can I say, I had a blast fighting her, and even though she's nowhere near the hardest boss in the game, I'm totally fine with her difficulty. The run back though, it kinda sucks. It's time for number 5, and we have a very fun boss whose name is Trobbio, which was the second boss I fought in Act 2 after the Cogwork Dancers, and after only 2 bosses I was already blown away by the quality of the bosses in this act. Fighting Trobbio feels like you're fighting a carnival party, since this guy is throwing fireworks everywhere, but let's just go straight to the point. I guess we all know what makes this fight hard, and it's that goddamn twister attack that was responsible for like 90% of my 15 to 20 deaths I had fighting him. Trobbio might have kicked my ass big time, but I had a super fun time fighting him. Number 4, we have our friendly map lady, Shakra. To fight this boss you need to do a certain quest, and it's not really a fight per se, she just wants to have some training, but man, it felt like she was the master and I just kept dying over and over again because I found this fight really tough. She is a crazy fast boss that keeps teleporting everywhere, and the rings she throws are a pain to deal with. And honestly, if those rings did 2 masks of damage, she could have been the hardest boss in this list. The only way I started dealing with this fight was using the diagonal pogo, which, as I already mentioned a few times, I'm just not very good at it. Even though her moveset is pretty small, this is one fight that made me really relieved when it was finally over. It's time for the top 3, and I decided to go with our second meeting with Lace. In Act 1 her fight was very much on the easy side, but here she doesn't mess around because this version seems to be on steroids. She has a 3-hit combo, a jump with a vertical attack, a charge, and in second phase she adds explosions into the mix and another attack we already saw in the first fight against her. Most of the difficulty of this fight comes from her insane speed, but even though I love this fight, I felt that there is a bit of bullshit going on, because the arena can get into the way of the fight by making her change the direction of the jump attack, and also when she gets staggered, if we would send her off the arena, we couldn't hit her again. And it's a pity, because it's a great fight, but these situations were really messing with my nerves. Lace 2 is an awesome fight, and definitely very challenging. It's time for our second hardest boss in the game, and that title goes to our second meeting with the savage Beastfly. If someone asked me which boss from Act 1 I would like to fight again, this would definitely be on the bottom of my list, because this was already a very punishing boss the first time, but guess what, it gets even harder in our second meeting. Savage Beastfly moveset doesn't change, but the problem with this fight comes from the fact that every time he hits the floor, it destroys it. And we have less and less space to fight him, so falling in the lava is something that happened to me many times. At a certain point he starts summoning minions, and I absolutely despise these fire throwing guys, and when he is almost dead he summons 2 for the ultimate challenge. This was a boss that took me around 45 minutes to beat, and I hated every second of it. And it's time for our number 1 hardest boss in Act 2, and that title goes to the absolutely stellar boss that is the First Sinner. When I did did my ranking for the bosses in Act 1 and said that Phantom was ridiculously fast, people were saying that I've seen nothing yet when it comes to speed, and oh my god, they were 100% correct, because the Sinner is by far the fastest boss in the entirety of Hollow Knight and Silksong combined. She teleports around the arena like a lunatic, and doing something as simple as hitting her is a challenge on its own. This boss took me around 1 hour to beat, but unlike Savage Beastfly, I loved every second of it, and honestly I wouldn't mind getting stuck for another hour, because this fight is a mix of absolute radiance with the spikes throwing, and also pure Veshel with the explosions in second phase, so to me this is very close from being a perfect boss. If I ever do a worst to best list, you can bet this boss will be somewhere in the top, because the first Sinner is simply amazing. And that, everyone, is my easiest to hardest boss ranking of Silksong Act 2, so now please tell me in the comments what is your top 3. Thanks for watching, everyone, I see you guys in the next video.